the lights on for the Tyler Bright and Early podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Bright, PBJ Productions' official flagship podcast for all things college football centered. Hope you had a good 4th of July weekend, whether it was celebrating in a parade, eating some hot dogs, some brats, or even celebrating some fireworks. I had a great time. I hope you did as well. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can listen to us on Spotify, or you can watch us on YouTube. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are. Speaking of 4th of July, Joey Chestnut comes to mind. He's the hot dog contest eating champion alongside Kobayashi. I would say they're the Mount Rushmore of the hot dog contest, and he won the Nathan's hot dog eating competition here in 2025 after taking a little bit of an absence because they wouldn't let him compete in 2024 because he took a deal with another hot dog company, which is bogus in my opinion. It's blasphemy. Can't believe I'm talking about the lore of the hot dog eating competition, but when there's a lot of, he's a big following, he's a big fan base. A lot of people are engaged with his following. So let the man eat every single year for the eternity of time. But anyway, that's enough about the hot dog eating competition and Joey Chestnut. We're going to be talking about the Big 12. We're going to do win totals for the Big 12. We're going to do half the teams, starting off with Arizona and going all the way to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to stop at Iowa State. And it's a pretty good bunch here in the top half of the Big 12. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Starting off with the Arizona Wildcats. They're coached by Brent Brennan. This is an Arizona team that in 2024 finished 4-8. A new coach, Brent Brennan. He's trying to instill his culture there, his program there. They have a lot of thin depth. It's a bottom tier team in the Big 12, in my opinion. It just is. The good thing about the Big 12, and we'll kind of touch on it, is there's usually a lot of parity in the Big 12. There's at least going throughout the years, is obviously you had TCU that made it to the college football playoff. Arizona State made it this past season. Kansas State was up there close a couple of times. Baylor won the Big 12 title. There's a lot of parity. And the other thing about this is the Big 12 is just going to beat up on each other. Just going to go pound for pound, going to get upset. It's going to be chaos, but that's the beauty of college football. Let's look at Arizona's schedule. So they have Hawaii, Weber State, Kansas State, at Iowa State, Oklahoma State, BYU, at Houston, at Colorado, Kansas, at Cincinnati, Baylor, and at Arizona State. And their win total is set at 5.5, and I'm going to take the under. I see this team more likely to go 5-7 than they are 6-6, and that's mainly because they go on the road at Arizona State. They host Baylor. I really like Baylor, and we'll talk about them in a bit. At Colorado, at Iowa State, Kansas State. I mean, that's just right there. Those are losses all right there, and then the rest of them I think are toss-ups at best. I think they'll beat Hawaii. They'll beat Weber State, and I also think they'll probably beat Houston too and Cincinnati, but after that, and 5-7 is one game improvement, but I don't know. I'm not very high on this Arizona team. But yeah, that's enough about Arizona. So next up, Arizona State. So they are coached by Kenny Dillingham. They're the defending Big 12 champions. Made the college football playoff last year in 2024. But they don't have Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo, the star running back for them, was a Heisman finalist. Actually, I don't know if he was a Heisman finalist. I'm blanking on that, but he was a Heisman contender. You know what I'm saying? But didn't get it. But Sam Leavitt, he's back at the quarterback position for the Sun Devils, and this is a Sun Devil team that kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if anyone was expecting them to win the Big 12 like they did last season, but they did. They came out on top. Let's take a look at their schedule for 2025. They have Northern Arizona at Mississippi State, Texas State at Baylor, TCU at Utah, Texas Tech, Houston at Iowa State, West Virginia at Colorado, and Arizona. And their win total is at 8.5. And that is a pretty tough total, but I am gonna take the over. Well, actually, I don't know. let's break this down. So they have Northern Arizona, that's a win. At Mississippi State, that's a win. Texas State, that's a win. You're already starting off 3-0. At Baylor, that could be a loss. TCU, that could, I think that's a win, but it could be a loss. Utah, at Utah, that's going to be tough. Texas Tech, that one could go either way, but I think they beat Texas Tech. I think they beat Houston. At Iowa State, they could lose that. West Virginia, at Colorado, they could lose that. And Arizona, they win. I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say under for 8.5, just because I do think 8-4. That's pretty likely. 8-4, 7-5, rather than 9-3. 9-3 is gonna be pretty tough. But I do like Penny Dillingham. I do think he's the right coach for that team. I think he's gonna stay there for a while. He's from the area. He played for that team. He knows the community really well. And he's just the perfect coach. I think he's just the perfect coach there. I don't think he'd have much success if he went to like a higher tier school. I think Arizona State is the perfect fit for him. So that's Arizona State. Next up, the Baylor Bears, coached by Dave Aranda. He's in his 6th season with the Bears. They have quarterback Sawyer Robertson. They have a pretty good defense from the 2024 team. And take a look at the schedule. They start off with Auburn at SMU, Sanford, Arizona State, at Oklahoma State, Kansas State, at TCU, at Cincinnati, UCF, Utah, at Arizona, and Houston. And their win total is 7.5. I'm gonna take the over just because, like, I do think there's a couple of games that they could lose. I think 8-4 is possible. I think 8-4 is possible because if you look at automatic losses for Baylor, I don't know if there's a ton. I think they lose to Kansas State. I think they lose to Arizona State. But other than that, like it's pretty all wide open. Like you could lose to Utah. You could lose. I mean, of course, you could lose to Auburn as well. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's got me thinking. But I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take the over and say that they go over 7.5. But next up, we'll go with BYU, the Cougars. BYU, they finished 11-2 last season. I feel like a lot of people are kind of forgetting that. Sataki, he's in his 10th season with the BYU Cougars. This is a team that I feel like they don't have a solid spot at the quarterback position. A lot of times when you have 2 starting quarterbacks, you have none. And because you're rotating, the only time where I feel like it's actually kind of worked was Chris Leak and Tim Tebow back in 2006 when they won the title. But that was a little bit different because Chris Leak was still the starter. Tebow was just getting reps to kind of be acclimated to become the starter in the future. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. Let's take a look at the schedule. So they start off with Portland State, then Stanford, at East Carolina, at Colorado, West Virginia, at Arizona, Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU, at Cincinnati, and UCF. And their win total is set at 7.5. I think they're a physical team, and I mean, they went 11-2 last year, and I don't think they're going to be as good as that, but I think they're going to go over 7.5. Like, I think 8-4 is pretty likely for this team. Their schedule is not that hard, and because they have like at Cincinnati, they're like their toughest game could be UCF with Scott Frost coming back, or at Colorado, or at Iowa State. They have a pretty good start to the season. Like they'll probably win their first 3 games. But once you get past that, there's going to be some tests there. I think they'll be fine though. I think they're going to be a great team, make a bowl game, possibly win a bowl game, and have a good matchup. Next up, the Cincinnati Bearcats. You know, Coach Scott Satterfield, I know him pretty well. Coached at Louisville for a couple of years, and speaking of his time at Louisville, he wasn't a fantastic coach by any means. He had a great turnaround from the 2019 team, but I'm going to be honest, the 2018 Louisville team probably wasn't as bad as what their record showed. They just quit on their coach, which, maybe that makes that they were as that bad, but, you see those cases all the time when coaches quit or players quit on their coach. But now Scott Satterfield, now he's with Cincinnati, and this is a team. He started 5-2 last year, and then finished 5-7. They lost 5 in a row to finish off the year. Not a great way to finish. Take a look at their schedule. They start off versus Nebraska, Bowling Green, Northwestern State, at Kansas, Iowa State, UCF, at Oklahoma State, Baylor at Utah, Arizona, BYU, and at TCU. And their win total is set at 6.5. I'm gonna go with the under. I just do not think they're I just don't think they're as competitive. They're still early on in this Big 12, kind of rebuilding their team. I think Scott Satterfield's got some time. I don't think just because if he has another bad year, I don't think he's going to get fired. Even though this isn't the expectations that they had when they had Luke Fickell, but they were in the American Conference. They weren't in the Big 12, which there is a distinct difference right now. And even back then, I would say. But yeah, I think 5-7's more likely. I don't see them. I like 6-6. I can even see 6-6 in them making a bowl game, you know, but 6.5. You think you're going to go 7-5? I just don't see it. Don't see it. Don't see it at all. But next up, Colorado. How is this Colorado team going to be coached by Primetime, Team Primetime, without Shedeur Sanders and the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter? How are they going to be? There's a lot of turnover on the roster. Crazy amount of turnover. And yes, they have a lot of talent coming in from the transfer portal, but how is that going to translate with your team chemistry? We saw it with Florida State with with all these transfers, and guess what? They finished 2-10 after going undefeated in the regular season the year before because it was a completely different team. There was no chemistry. Which that is important in college football, and that's going to be a problem, especially with the future of college football and the transfer portal being how it is right now, is when teams are down in the dumps and they are on a losing streak, are they just going to check out and it doesn't matter because they have their NIL deals, so they're getting paid? Is going to be a lot more like the professional game. It's going to be an issue. And we're going to see situations like that. Is it going to happen at Colorado? Who knows? It could happen. It could not happen, but we'll see. So their schedule, they start off with Georgia Tech, Delaware at Houston, Wyoming, BYU at TCU, Iowa State at Utah, Arizona at West Virginia, Arizona State, and at Kansas State. Their win total is at 6.5, which I think is pretty low, personally, because that means that they need to go 7-5. I'm going to take the over. Like, even though they do have tough games, like at Kansas State, Arizona State, at Utah, BYU, and Georgia Tech, like, I feel like they could upset someone. Now, they could also throw a stinker and lose to someone else, but I think they can handle that pretty well. I think they can. And, like, but the main question is, how are they going to be without Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders? You're losing your best player and your quarterback, your starting quarterback. How's the transition? I think it's going to be a middle ground from Primetime's first season and last season. Kind of a middle ground between that, which is about 7-5, just above 7.5 wins. So, oh wait, oh no, their win total is 6.5. Yeah, no, but yeah, 7.5, 7. I keep seeing 7.5, 7-5, most likely the record for Colorado. Jeez, moving on. Houston, the Houston Cougars, coached by Willie Fritz. He's in his second season with the Cougars. He was a pretty good coach at Tulane. But another coach, another team, and another coach, I should say, that I don't know if they're transitioning as well into the Big 12 game, just because like they're a newcomer, so they have to adjust. Where these teams have been around for a while, and they kind of have a little bit more firepower right now. But if you take a look at their schedule, they start off with Stephen F. Austin at Rice, Colorado at Oregon State, Texas Tech at Oklahoma State, Arizona at Arizona State, West Virginia at UCF, TCU, and at Baylor. They do have Connor Wegman, which I do like. I think this is a great spot for Wegman because, at A&M, he was just very lackadaisical, pocket passer, and it was very clear that I felt like Reed was the better quarterback. Or, I mean, that's a general assumption I make, but I do think Wegman can have a great spot here and kind of develop himself, kind of show off his star power that he showed as a recruit. And their win total is at 5.5, which is going to be tough. Like Stephen F. Austin, that's a win. Their road schedule is pretty easy. At Rice, they'll win. At Oregon State, they could win. Oklahoma State, that's a winnable game. At Arizona State, I don't think you're won that. And at UCF, I don't think you won that either. I think 5-7 is more likely than 6-6. And if it's set at 5.5, then I gotta have to go with the under. I think you'll see slow but sure process for the Cougars in the future. It just are, but then the question is, are they going to let him get that much time? Because who knows nowadays. So moving along, our last team that we're talking about here in the Big 12 is going to be the Iowa State Cyclones. Matt Campbell, he's in his 10th season, which is, it's kind of crazy that no one's talking about Matt Campbell when in the early 2020s, he was like the number one choice in the coaching carousel in college football. People were like, oh, he's going to take the Florida job. Oh, he's going to take Florida State. Oh, he's going to go to Michigan State. No, he's staying put at Iowa State, which honestly I think is the best fit. I don't know if he would have had done as well with those other schools. And I think he's found his home. I think he's going to stay there. Unless a perfect spot comes open. But if he hasn't taken a spot yet, then why would he take it in the future? I don't know. That's just kind of my thought. But looking at their schedule, starting off in Dublin, Ireland, against Kansas State. That one's going to be a great game. I cannot wait to talk about that game in the future because that one's going to be a great game. The Kansas State and Iowa State, I think they're both going to be pretty good teams in the Big 12, and they're going to duke it off right off the bat. Someone's going to start 1-0, and someone's going to start 0-1, and that could be a deciding game in game one of how the Big 12 is going to go. So I'm excited for that. Moving on with the rest of the schedule, South Dakota, Iowa, at Arkansas State. Arizona, at Cincinnati, at Colorado, BYU, Arizona State, at TCU, Kansas, and at Oklahoma State. Their win total is set at 7.5. And wow, I feel like a lot of people forget also that they were in the Big 12 title game last year. I like Rocco Beck, their quarterback. They were in the Big 12 title game last year against Arizona State. I feel like people are forgetting that, or maybe that's just me. You're gonna I don't think you're gonna beat Kansas State, but you're gonna beat South Dakota. Iowa, they haven't had much luck against the Hawkeyes, I feel like, but it's a rivalry game, so who knows who can win that game. At Arkansas State, Arizona, they'll win that. At Cincinnati, I think they'll win that. At Colorado, toss-up, could go either way, but it is on the road. BYU, they could lose that one. Arizona State could lose that. At TCU. Either way, so they need to go 8-4. I'm gonna take the over. I do like the Cyclone team. I feel like they could lose to Arizona State, Colorado, Iowa, and Kansas State, and still be 8-4, and that's an over. Or you can flip Colorado with BYU or another team. I think they can go 8-4. I think they can. I really do. But that's gonna do it for our first half predictions of the Big 12 conference. We'll be doing the rest of the Big 12 in the next episode. So there's that. Now moving on, I want to talk about my school, University of Louisville. I want to talk about the Cardinals and kind of do a debrief of their 2025 season because they had such a success, or 2024 for the fall as well. They had such a successful run for a lot of their teams. The football team won the Sun Bowl, was a really good team. They didn't make it to the ACC championship like they did the year before, but they were competitive. They were in the top half of the ACC. They upset Clemson in a stomping fashion, a very dominating game down in Clemson, South Carolina, which I got to see. That was a lot of fun. And then you have the volleyball team, which made it to the national championship game. Oh, I wanted them to win it so bad, but they lost to Penn State, but they made it all the way there. DBK heading over to Nebraska now, a blue blood program in the world of college volleyball. And then you have the basketball team, the men's basketball team, coming back after the dark ages of Kenny Payne, coming out with Pat Kelsey, who's kind of ignited, has excitement for this team. Everyone's buying in. Everyone loves him down there. And it's awesome. It's great to see this blue blood basketball team back in the limelight. And even though they lost in round one, I feel like they're going to be even better next year. So, and also they were criminally ranked low anyway as an 8 seed, but that's not what the discussion is here today. And then you have the baseball team, which had some ups and had some downs in the regular season. Me covering the team pretty up close and personal. Especially in the early half, they were killing it at home. but they couldn't win a series on the road. They didn't win a series on the road until Omaha, or not Omaha, until the postseason. But then they made it to Omaha, and just from where they were when they lost to Bellarmine, who's also located in Louisville, to come out and make it to Omaha. It's just a great story. And just the women's basketball team was successful as well. And just a great year for U of L athletics. And, me being a Cardinal alum, my last year, it was great supporting them and kind of seeing these teams. So shout out to the Cards. Louisville first, Cards forever. L's up, baby. But yeah, so that's Louisville. And now for the last segment of our show, I kind of want to talk about, with 4th of July, we blew right past it. I kind of want to ask you guys, like, what is the best? I'm kind of gaining some ideas for the next episode. What is some of the best holiday sport movies or sport movies? I'm sorry. No. What are the best holiday movies? Yeah, what are the best? Sorry, I can't control my thought process. What are some of the best holiday movies of all time? Because there's a lot of sport movies that are kind of related to holidays as well. So those are the ones that I was kind of thinking to come to mind, but I just don't know if there's a ton of them. But let me know. Like, I kind of want to do like a bracket system of like movies and kind of do a bracket system and kind of do some deep analysis between these movies. So like we'll be talking about I have this Christmas movie against this Halloween movie, such as like, I don't know, let me think of a Christmas movie. We have Elf versus Nightmare Before Christmas, which is kind of an interesting combo because it's like a Christmas and Halloween movie. Which also, that's another question. Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie, or is it a Christmas movie? Or is it both? I think it's both, but let me know. Give me some ideas. Give me some movie ideas that I could do. That I want to do this bracket challenge that obviously I'll have more of a concrete idea of what that will look like in the future, and my camera's about to die. So with that being said, that's going to do it for the Tyler Bright and Early podcast. As I said earlier, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, and I'll catch you next week. See ya.